The end of each international motor racing year is marked by one of the most unique and prestigious events on the racing calendar, the Macau Grand Prix. 2006 marks the 40th anniversary of the motorcycle race, which each year attracts many of the world's greatest riders for the ultimate challenge, and what has become known within the sport as the world's greatest street race. Perched at the mouth of the Pearl River estuary in southern China, Macau is a group of tiny islands about 40 kilometers from Hong Kong. Steeped in history which dates back centuries, this former Portuguese colony was an historical trading hub for mainland China, where east meets west. It continues to be so in the 21st century, where Macau is fast becoming the gambling capital of the world, as well as a major tourist destination of Asia. Yet it's the unique street race which really puts it on the international map, one of the only events in the world run over a weekend for both 2- and 4-wheel races, with amateurs racing alongside professionals in a festival of colour and noise. The layout of the track has not changed in over 50 years, a unique aspect of this very special motor race. It all began back in 1954, when a group of motor racing enthusiasts from Hong Kong, led by Swiss-born Paul Dutoit, planned the first ever race around the streets of Macau. Little did they know that they'd be creating history in what would become Southeast Asia's most prestigious motor race. With a Le Mans-style start and over 30 entries, they painted the trees along the route with white paint, and the race was on. Not everyone would make it to the end. Dinger Bell in his Morgan, the first victim of the famous walls of Macau, which continue today to foil many of the world's greatest drivers and riders. Motorcycle racing wasn't introduced to Macau until the late 60s, with the allure of this extremely fast and very tight track proving to be overwhelming for the Asian riders not able to travel all the way to the Isle of Man TT. But unlike the TT, Macau was no time trial against the clock. This was pure racing in the tightest of confines with absolutely no margin for error. Quite simply, the ultimate challenge for man and machine. The first race in 1967 would be dominated by Japanese machinery and a Japanese rider by the name of Hiroshi Hishigawa on a Works Yamaha. He won it again in 1968, chased home by Hong Kong's John McDonnell, who won the race in 1969. The 70s would be a decade dominated by Japanese riders and machinery. And these may have been the pioneers, but it wasn't long before the news of this death-defying race travelled the globe, and soon the Macau Grand Prix was attracting the world's greatest riders, all prepared to take the ultimate risk and put their lives on the line. It goes without saying that a mistake at Macau could be your last, but the riders of any road race are fully aware of the risks, and like mountain climbers and explorers, they all want to face the ultimate challenge.
It's something like I think you prepare yourself for anyway. I've been brought up since I've been born really through racing, going to the Isle of Man and places like that, and know a lot of people who have tragically lost their lives. And I think you just prepare yourself for it, and you just blank it out, and you have to concentrate 100% on what you're doing when you're out there anyway. Because if your mind starts to wander, that's it. You know, you can easily clip the Armco or wall or anything. So you just block it out really, and you are devastated about it, but you just try and move on. And we all laugh and joke, but I mean, it's only just, I think, just to cover up, really what we're really thinking. But we just try and move on, and I think, everyone would want you to move on like that, and you just carry on, and that's what we do.
It's so easy to be focused on what's bad out there. You've got to be able to put that in the back of your head and be able to look as far down the track as you can so that everything happens in a timely fashion. You get your vision too far in front of you, looking at the walls, looking at the curbs, looking at all the different things coming. Everything's always happening in a panic. If you can just get that vision out as far as you possibly can see, especially around a place like this, you can make it happen in a timely enough fashion that panic's not setting in all the time. You're still going to have it out every now and then where your eyes are going to get really big You're going to wonder if you exactly remember where the course goes. It's a really long course, lots of corners, and lots of elevation change. So it is an absolute challenge in itself, but you know, for us racers, going the fastest, being the fastest is what we enjoy doing. So it's just challenging for everybody.
You do enjoy it when you see pit board and you got like +1 or +2, and then the gap starts to open. You think, God, yeah, just keep on going, and then the race just get enjoyable and it's just quite flowing. When you got someone right behind you or just in front of you, it's that changes it, you know, especially you know, if it's someone you don't really know. Like with John, we've got a lot of trust, McGuinness and that. I knew he wasn't going to do anything stupid, but you know, you think about some people might just go and stick it up the inside of you somewhere they shouldn't.
To win in Macau makes any rider part of a two-wheel elite. It takes nerves of steel, total concentration and total self-belief.
Well, I think it's a total fallacy that it's a holiday race. You know, everybody's on it. You only have to look at the yellow marks in their leathers and the cuts with the cuts and the bolts and the Armco and things. They're on it, and you know, the level of commitment into the corner is amazing.
It is dangerous, and you have to leave yourself a bit of safety margin, and that's what we all try and do. You know, once or twice you do have a bit of a go, but you know, normally you're just trying to ride around about 90%.
When you qualify and you have a real good go, and I think you're probably 99.9%, I think, and I think if anybody's telling you they're only riding 85%, I think they're telling fibs, but no, we're really pushing on, definitely pushing on, yeah, for a road race, for sure.
The bikes have gotten better, the tires have gotten better, the speeds have definitely gotten faster, and you know, the risk is still out there, but all the guys out there today riding those big thousands are definitely earning their keep.
Safety has been the key to the success of the event, and its record is second to none. The Macau government employ the most experienced bike event organisers in the world, including the top men from MotoGP.
It's important to mitigate as much as possible the natural dangers of the racecourse. The people who work and run the race here are very good, but they're doing it once a year. So what we try and do is bring people who've got tremendous experience in this field, running World Championship events every other weekend during the course of the year, to lend their expertise. They're not in charge, but they're there, sat by them, saying, look, this is the way we do it at MotoGP or whatever.
I come here basically to help Mike Trimby out in communicating between the sporting organisation and his organisation, make sure that he knows where riders are, that the communication between the sporting team, the medical team and Mike is as good as it can be. So I'm here, I'm deputy clerk of the course, but basically my role is a communication role. It's important that the riders understand the dangers, and they do. And it's our job to do the best to ensure the track's in the best condition. Though obviously the hazards are fixed and very solid.
The fact of the matter is it's inherently dangerous. It's like racing around Monaco on a motorcycle. It's just not done in normal circumstances. So therefore, every time a race starts, you know, you die a little bit inside for the guys that are out there, because it only takes a fraction of something to happen, and a disaster can happen. And I think that despite the safety provisions being made as safe as they can, it's still a factor that's in the back of everybody's mind.
Another way the organisers help to minimise the number of accidents is a careful selection process. This is not a race for young hotheads trying to prove themselves.
It is invitation, but we don't invite. We don't actually go out and knock on people's door and say, we think you're a talent, we want you to race in the Macau Grand Prix. The reason for that is that it is a very dangerous event. We want people to come to us and say, we've heard about Macau, we've talked about it in the paddocks in the British Championship or the German Championship or in the States or whatever, and we think we'd like to have a go at this. And we then reinforce the fact that, look, when you get there, this is going to be a track with Armco and walls and everything else, and that you have to accept that that's the way it's going to be. And then if we like the look of the people who've knocked on our door, we then review how good they are and how safe they've been and so on and so forth, and then try and put something together with their team. We deal not with riders, we deal with teams who put together the package to bring the riders here. It's funny, when I look back to '78, I couldn't wait to get here. I didn't contemplate any danger. I mean, there was no possibility of hurting yourself around here. I mean, that was perhaps some other guy at the back of the field who might hurt himself, but that wasn't going to impact on me. And I'm sure these guys feel the same. I'm sure none of them think that there's a serious chance of them getting badly hurt. And you have to worry about that, and I worry tremendously, and I'm a lot happier on Saturday afternoon when it's all over.
Like Trimby, British race legend Mick Grant continued to come back to the race long after he'd hung up his leathers. A former winner turned race manager, and back again this year to enjoy the race celebrations.
It's a lot worse because you know what it's like, you know the dangers involved, and obviously if you hurt yourself, that's your decision. I think when you got a couple of young guys riding around for you, you can only do so much just to ensure they're going to be safe. And obviously if it goes wrong, you would tend to look, you'd reflect and look at yourself. So I think being a team manager is far more stressful ever than being a rider.
With all that in mind, the message to riders coming out to Macau for the first time is simple.
Go out the first two practice and take it easy and learn the circuit, because it's very important to learn and to know what's all the bumps and everything. And then maybe in the race, if you have fun, try to go faster. But the first year it's very important that you learn the circuit.
A young rider has got to come out here to have fun, take it easy on the racetrack, maybe for the first season, but after that, I'm sure he'll get into it.
I had a very good opportunity to go to Isle of Man, and Barry Sheen was helping me a lot at that time, and he told me, Didier, it's not for you. You're too young. You go too quick. You're too crazy. Don't go there. So I would say the same to a young guy. He can only come if he be responsible. You cannot do this kind of race like a Grand Prix where you can crash and have a lot of grass, and here you must think twice.
2006 marks the 40th running of this classic race. It's now a major world-class event, and to celebrate the 40th anniversary, many of the greats have come back to savour the atmosphere one more time. They read like a who's who of motorcycle racing, all legends of the circuit, and all part of the rich history that is the Macau Grand Prix. But it's not all smiles and nostalgia. For this year, Michael Rutter can go one better than the great 80s hero Ron Haslam and achieve a record 7th win at the famous Asian circuit.
When I first came here, I've been happy to get on the podium, and here I am sitting here with 6 races. So, yeah, I've done more than I thought I would. So, yeah, everything else is a bonus. I can see it being a tough race because it is the 40th race as well, and people are really fired up for it. I think it's going to be quite difficult tomorrow.
And this year's field is one of the most competitive ever, and they're not here to make up the numbers, so the pressure is firmly on Rutter's shoulders.
At the moment, I just want to win it for Stobart Honda and Dunlop and all the sponsors and that. So, I mean, going out there, to win it's not easy at the moment. But there's about 4 or 5 riders which could go and win this race, and just to finish here, you're happy with. When that checkered flag comes out, you are happy. If we can get that 7th win, fantastic. But I'll come back again if I don't.
For different reasons, several top road racers are here to add their name to those that have mastered the famous circuit, knowing that a win here could change their career. His teammate is no other than road race superstar and Isle of Man legend, John McGuinness.
I've got a massive big target on my back, and John's definitely after it, but there's loads of other people like Ian Hutchinson, who's a young lad coming up, Stuart Easton. Stuart's got his head screwed on really, he's a mini Islop really, and I think in the future he'll be one to watch when he sorts himself out. Steve Plater as well, he beat me at the Northwest, and he's got a point to prove as well. He's trying to get a job, so it's going to be a tough race.
Plater has had a disappointing year in the British Superbike Championship and is here to use Macau to put himself back in the shop window, but he knows all too well how hard it will be to beat Rutter.
Obviously he's won here an awful lot of times, and he's going for the record this year, but he's obviously very competitive on road circuits. He's very fast at the Isle of Man, the Northwest 200, and has competed there many times. It's a favourite circuit of his, and he's very smooth and very laid back. And realistically, it probably comes a little bit easy to him, I believe, to go out there and go fast. This year's probably going to be his hardest year anyway, because the depth of the field is much stronger and much faster.
So a 7th record-breaking win is potentially on the cards. But with the competition keen to stop him, Rotter will have to be on top form. Taking place at the end of a long, hard season, and with no championship points at stake, what is it that keeps bringing the riders, teams and organisers back each year? Macau is without doubt the experience of a lifetime. The culture, the history and the beauty of the islands. It's an opportunity to relax with friends and rivals, and last but not least, take on the world's greatest street race.
This is my 9th trip to Macau, and holding my seat for the world. We all get really excited before we, probably 6 months before leading up to the event. It's like an end of season, bit of a bash for us and stuff, you know. But I think from the moment you walk on the island, you know, all the riders get treated properly, you know, we get looked after, and the hospitality over here is, I think, is fairly unique to anywhere else in the world.
I come when I really started, you know, when I just started racing, really. So I came here, I'd done a few seasons at home, and then came over here, and it was good atmosphere. You get to see all like your friends that you've seen through the year, and it's more like an end of season party kind of thing. It's just enjoyment all around, really.
It's the last chance of the year to go out and compete on a road circuit. It's attracted some very, very big names over the years, and it probably has got the image of being like a holiday race or a party atmosphere. But you know, it's no different to any other race, really. You know, once you get here, your chest comes out, and you really, really want to win.
It's clear as to why the riders want to come to Macau, but what is it that's so special about the tight, technical, treacherous circuit?
Macau is a classic. It's a classic road race. I mean, so you've got, for instance, in America, you've got Daytona. It's a standalone road race that everybody goes to in February. Macau is an end-of-season road race for people that want to be able to do it. Then you've got the Isle of Man in there, the Northwest 200, of course, in Northern Ireland. These are classic independent bike festivals, if you like. This one is unique among them all in as much as that it runs cars and bikes together on the same circuit. You don't get that anymore.
The track is like completely unique to anywhere else in the world. With the barriers and the Armco, it's like, you know, it's like playing a video machine.
Looking at the barriers when we get here, I think to myself, what am I doing here? I must be mad. But when you get out on your bike, there's nothing like it, you know. It's I think we just live on adrenaline for a week.
When you go down to the riders' briefing, which you have to go to before, obviously you can go out and practice, you go for a wander around the museum, and that's when it sinks in. You know, you look at all the names that have won, you know, and second place is first loser. So realistically, it's classed as pretty much a holiday race, but you know, you come for one reason only. You know, Michael Rutter, John McGuinness, they're all here for one reason only, and that's because they want to stand on the top step and leave their mark.
When it comes to heroes, here at the Macau Grand Prix, Britain's Rocket Ron Haslam is one of the greatest of all. He raced here 6 times between 1981 and 1987 and won all 6 races on very different machinery. An accomplished Grand Prix rider and multiple Isle of Man TT winner, Macau still remains one of his most special memories.
Coming here, I haven't got any bad memories. 'Cause, I'm so pleased, 6 times, 6 wins. I can say I've never been beat here, so it's like one of them achievements that I'm hoping it'll always be with me now. I first come in '81 with Team Great Britain. I'd done the Isle of Man, I'd done the Northwest, and the first impressions when I got over here, I got on a road bike and went around on a road bike, and it was like, wow, this is dangerous. You know, like the barrier's so close, cliffs and all that. You get the similar thing in the Isle of Man, but this just seemed a bit tighter. Coming for the first time, you don't expect anything or anything, so really enjoyed it, and amped to come away with a win, you know, on a 4-stroke, which was one of the first 4 strokes for a long while to win it, so it was a bit of a bonus all round.
But it was Ron's versatility that made him stand out. With his ability to ride the wheels off anything from superbikes to Grand Prix bikes, the mild-mannered Haslam made Macau his own.
He's been a Grand Prix rider, an endurance rider, a road racer, and he's raced just about every type of motorcycle there is to do. And what you've got to remember, his 6 wins at the Macau Grand Prix were back-to-back. Every race he was in, he won. Michael Rutter's won 6, but he's been in a lot of races.
Ronnie, I think, is probably the one I respect most, because he rode here on everything. 2 strokes, 4 strokes, and he beat very good people in doing it.
Of Haslam's 6 Macau Grand Prix wins, 3 clearly stand out. Each one special, but all for very different reasons.
Four-stroke first win, you know, with it being a four-stroke again, the two strokes, that was a big achievement, even though I didn't realise at the time. And then I come with a three-cylinder Honda, the GP bike, and obviously Joey Dunlop, Wayne Gardner, all them were here. So it wasn't that you know there was good lads here. And then the Elf, which was I will say a little bit step backwards on the machine, but to win it on that as well, that was fantastic.
It's doubtful anyone will beat Ron's record of consecutive wins. Michael Rutter may be looking to take the overall race wins record from his fellow Midlander, but has the greatest of admiration for Haslam's achievements and is honoured to be considered in the same company.
I've known Ron for years. He's even helped me, a lot, and Ron's, just 100% racing anyway. He loves racing, and I don't know if he'd be upset or not, if I did beat his record, but I'm happy at the moment. I've equalled the record. I've won 4 races in a trot, so if I can get another one, that's 5, and I'll just take it as it comes, and if we do it, hopefully we'll have get drunk on Saturday night.
Michael is again superb around him, and records are meant to be broken, aren't they? And I don't think Ron will be upset at all if well, perhaps a little bit, but not too much if Michael takes it off him, because Michael's proved himself a master of this racetrack.
Dominating the 80s, Haslam's reign helped raise the awareness and stature of Macau on a global scale. Towards the end of his rule, however, Belgian rider Didier de Radigues would push the experienced Brit, but would later go on to win a Grand Prix title of his own in 1991.
Ron did also help notoriety of this Grand Prix. I knew it through Ron Haslam's win, so maybe he attracted me more than I would have been attracted if he wasn't there. So no, it's normal that I couldn't beat him the first year. That's just normal, and I'm very proud that I could beat him after.
After a glittering Grand Prix career, he chose Macau as his swan song and left the world stage a champion of the greatest circuit of them all.
For me, it was very special because it was my last race in my career. I decided to stop racing motorcycle in '91. So obviously Macau was the last race, and I won. So I won the last Grand Prix of my career on 2 wheels, and that's very important for me, for sure. Yeah. You can't stop a career higher than that.
But perhaps Macau's greatest coup was attracting up-and-coming Grand Prix star and soon-to-be world champion legend of the sport, Kevin Schwantz. The famous 34, now one of the numbers retired from the sport out of respect for his contribution, raced the gear circuit in 1988 after his first Grand Prix season. That day, he gave Southeast Asia a glimpse of what the rest of the world was about to see for the next 10 years, as Schwantz held Grand Prix audiences spellbound for one of the most colourful and charismatic eras Grand Prix racing has ever seen.
'88 was my first full season Grand Prix racing, and I had managed to win a few Grand Prix, and the Suzuki was really coming along as far as development went. But at the same time, I think the main reason that I agreed to come here was the week-long vacation afterwards in Thailand that I could take all my mechanics on, because I felt like the reason the bike was coming along as well as it was a lot of the development they were helping with and a lot of the communications that they were doing with the factory. So I did it more as a bonus for them, and I felt like being the only rider here on a 500 that I really didn't have to push the envelope. I felt like I'd be able to come here and win pretty easily. There's always a risk at a street circuit, mechanical failure, anything could have really jeopardized my career. So it probably wasn't a real intelligent thing, but everything worked out, and we had fun, and we won the race, and Thailand was a hoot. It was the first street circuit of any kind I'd ever ridden on, so it didn't necessarily make me want to go do the Isle of Man. I think it made me appreciate how good those guys are and how what a special breed they are that can race on stuff like that year round. The first few laps of the practice session, I think I was wondering, man, maybe it would have just been cheaper to buy those guys vacations and let them go wherever they wanted. But it worked out. They kept reminding me every time I came in, okay, you don't have to go a whole lot faster, you don't have to go a whole lot faster. They were really trying to keep the reins on me for the weekend, and it was fun. I actually enjoyed the race. I was able to put the safety issues, how close the walls and the guardrails are, I was able to put that out the back of my head, have a good time, and do some wheelies and win the race.
Back for the first time since that famous win, the Texan has always been known for his laid-back demeanour at race weekends. However, Schwantz's one and only appearance at the Macau circuit could have been so different, as the schedule of early practices was not to his liking.
That year we were staying at the Hyatt Hotel, the motorcycle group, and he had his early morning alarm call from this very pleasant, charming receptionist saying, "Hello, Mr. Schwantz, it's your early morning call." And he opened his eyes in it, which was pitch black, and he said, "You must be joking," and put the phone back down and didn't bother to come out here for the very first practice session. Missed one totally, never been here before, came out for the second, immediately went on to pole position, and then in the race just cakewalked it. With his front wheel in the air for most of the race. Schwantz was just magnificent.
It's one of those accomplishments that you don't forget about. There's some of those Grand Prix out there that you won that, yeah, maybe I can remember all 25 of them. Actually, I might remember every lap and every corner of every one of them that I won, but Macau definitely has a special place in my heart.
Schwantz wasn't the only big-name rider to be drawn to the now prestigious Asian event. 4 years later, in 1992, a young Carl Fogarty, who would later become a 4-time world superbike champion, made his name here with his longtime friend and rival James Whitham. They were due to put on a show for the crowds, but hadn't counted on the speed of Japanese privateer Toshiyuki Honda and almost took each other out. It was a heart-stopping moment for both riders, as well as their team manager and former 2-time Macau winner, Mick Grant.
We thought we may have been on the brink of getting a GP deal, and obviously this was a test for it. And Carl won it. James finished second behind the Japanese guy Honda, and it was very successful. I mean, considering the fact that they hadn't even sat on the bikes until they arrived in Macau, because I just actually rented the bikes from people in the UK. So with no setup, with no data, with nothing. So you can imagine the 2 days of setup for the practice. We were working really frantically to get to know, and we didn't really know background with those particular bikes. So it wasn't easy. And I think because of that, the result was even probably better than it really looks on paper.
Of course, the circuit is not solely for the use of just the bikes. Macau is the only racetrack in the world where both bikes and cars race on the same weekend. Over the last 53 years, Macau has played host to a who's who of future four-wheel stars, many of which have gone on to be household names. Senna, Coulthard, Schumacher, and many others. In fact, 18 of the 2006 Formula One field all cut their teeth here. The event is now part of the World Touring Car Championship, and in a rare motor racing exchange of mutual respect, the bikers get a chance to meet their heroes, and the drivers are likewise in total awe of what the bikers can do around the same track.
It's amazing. These guys are so committed, so talented, and I've got the utmost respect for what they do here, because this is a very fast and very dangerous circuit. They're amazing when you think they're working on this much of the tyre around a slippery, bumpy track at over 270 kilometres an hour. It's you can't do anything more than just give them 100% respect. They've got very big things downstairs, I would say.
However, having to share the circuit with the cars is always a contentious issue for the riders, as each time they crash, they have potential to leave behind them oil and debris.
They're okay, they've got a roll cage in the show around them, so they're okay if they hit the barriers. We're always worried about they're going to dump some oil or some water on the track, but one respect they're brilliant because they clean the track up, take all the dust off the track, put rubber down and make the track better, but then on the other hand they can hit the barrier and make a right mess of the track as well, so it works both ways really.
All the marshals and the guys do a fantastic job of checking the circuit to making sure there's no bad substances down or anything that's going to cause us a problem, and all we're hoping and praying for obviously is a dry race, and so we can knuckle down and have a good one.
Typically cars and bikes get to the same track and one of the other's got to really give, whereas it seems like they've managed to find a way to be able to get the two to work together. It's nice to see the cars, it's a really important meeting for the cars, and it's nice to see F3s, and I've met some famous drivers over the last few years. Bolton was here when I first came here, and Sato and all the Formula One drivers and stuff, and I know a couple of touring car boys, and they have a bit of fun as well. We see them in the odd time out in the bar, but only the odd time because they take it a bit too sensible, don't they, the car boys?
Over the years, the Macau event has become so much more than just a race weekend. It permeates the whole island, and it's impossible not to become part of the festival-like atmosphere. There's a special relationship between those that come from abroad and those that organise the event, and it's perhaps the key to its longevity and success.
We try to continue to develop our event not only as one of the most important motorsport events in Asia, but from the world. Especially this year, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of the motorcycles in a very special track as Macau. Even I am not a driver, I always listen that after driving Macau and after winning in this circuit, the driver must be considered really one of the best of the world.
But if anyone can be single-handedly credited with the phenomenal success of the event, it's long-term organiser Mike Trimby. Having been a former rider at Macau in the late 70s, he's now the head of the International Teams and Riders Association in MotoGP and is responsible for all the riders at Macau.
Mike Trimby, absolutely incredible. That all the while they're telling you, look, have a good oldie and enjoy your riding. You know, they even tell you it sounds silly, but don't push it. Don't. Yeah. So that makes everything. Even though I won the races, it wouldn't have mattered if I hadn't, because they're not judging you or looking at you. You know, which takes a horrendous amount of pressure off. And the same with every rider. You know, which is so unusual. You know, you normally get organisers where they're pushing for, you know, fast racing, hard racing. Now Mike's there, he wants you to just enjoy yourself, have a good race and a good oldie, which makes all the difference.
Even nowadays, a lot of organisers treat the competitors and the teams as an inconvenience to the running of the event. Here, the organisers realise that they are the event. They treat them well, they put them up in reasonably good hotels, they entertain them. It's a whole different ballgame, and that's why we get such value for money out of the money that the organisers spend to bring people here.
Trimby carries the respect of the racers and the organisers, and his unique insight into what is required to race this perilous track has been the foundation of its continued growth.
We are lucky to have, since almost 30 years, we have the team of Mike Trimby, all the others, they are former drivers in Macau. So they really teach us a lot how to improve in terms of safety. Even Macau circuit cannot be considered the best safe in the world. Every year we try to make the safety our priority, and we try every year to improve.
I think we developed a mutual respect over the years. That I think I know what they want out of it, although in the early days I'm not sure they did know what they wanted out of it. And indeed the original organiser, I said to him one year, why do you run this race? And we have not the faintest idea why we run it. You know, we don't need the tourists, the hotels are always full and whatever, but anyway. And I think they respect my ability to put it together and deliver what they're contracted to get. So I think there's a mutual respect built up over those years, which hopefully will continue.
Mike does a real good job, you know, organising the whole lot. It's it's just a fantastic, you know, overall, you know, how it's run, the whole setup really. It's from start to end. You know, it's once we come here on the Saturday to when we go back on the Monday, it's very well done.
Coming from a family of racers, Michael Rutter has developed into one of the world's greatest road specialists, conquering the likes of the TT as well as being master at Macau. But even he was a little intimidated when he first arrived here in 1994.
I was just shocked, and you know, I couldn't believe how hot it was, and getting used to all those things. Really, it was learning the circuit. It was just one corner after another. You just didn't have a clue. But you know, every lap you do, you just register a bit more and just keep going on and on and on, and you just start to get bits you enjoy, and then it comes together like that, really.
97 was a non-starter on the Miller Racing Honda, but in 98, Rutter showed his true colours on the Honda Britain, winning with an average speed of 89 miles per hour.
Ian Simpson was my teammate, and I had to, and me and Ian, you know, same really ability-wise, and I thought it was going to be really hard work here, and I put one good lap in, and I just broke a bit of a toe, and he tried to catch me back up, and he run on it at the Lisboa, and it just gave me, about a 3 or 4 second gap, and I thought, well, that's all right. And I just controlled the race from there and brought it back. But being my first win, really, it was memorable.
It had taken him 2 years to learn properly, but from then on, he was at one with the undulating gear circuit.
I think just with my style, people say I'm quite smooth, and I think that helps definitely through the top section. And normally I'm quite good on the brakes, late on the brakes, so that's a good advantage for this circuit. If you can get the thing stopped on its nose and turn it and get it in, you can make up a lot of time. That's where you got to overtake as well. So if you've got someone who is fast, like all through it, if they can't stop the thing and turn it, they're not going to win because you can't pass. So I've always it probably suits me in that way as well.
Rutter's good friend David Jeffries took top spot the following year, with Michael only just making the podium in third. But in 2000 he was back again, this time ahead of Jeffries to take his second Macau Grand Prix title. In 2001, however, contractual commitments to his then British Superbike team meant that he was unable to return to Macau to defend his title. With Rutter sat at home, it was another of his close friends and later Macau nemesis John McGuinness who took his crown that year.
I was working for Kawasaki that year, and I was at the motorcycle show and they wouldn't let me come. So I was really upset for that.
Back on the island in 2002, Rutter was this time on board the number 6 shod V-twin Ducati and finished ahead of McGuinness to claim his third Grand Prix win at the circuit. McGuinness would prove a worthy adversary over the coming years, and in 2003, the now eagerly anticipated battle between the two British riders was on once again. Once more, Rutter would get the better of his fellow countrymen.
Me and John have had some brilliant battles, going through the last 3 or 4 years. Always been John right behind me or, passing me.
None more so than in 2004.
We came over here with the wrong tyres. Michelin just sent just standard tyres, and I had my work cut out really, and I think I got past him about lap 7 or 8. And I thought, right, I'll just go for it now, I won't see him again. And he just kept on coming, and I just kept on hearing that Ducati behind me, and I thought, just put the checkered flag out for God's sake. And I eventually just pipped him, but I mean, it was, I think that was one of the closest races I've had around here.
Winning 5 of the 6 races of the new millennium was an incredible feat, and his 2005 win made it 4 in a row, taking his total tally of 6 titles from 9 appearances at the Macau circuit. Now level with his friend and mentor Ron Haslam, he will return in 2006 looking for that all-important 7th win. Race day 2006. Rutter's British Superbike season had not gone to plan, and upon his arrival at Macau, he was hoping that the old magic was still there, and he could at least finish his season on a high. Qualifying had gone well, and Michael took his Stobart Honda to pole. But as the bikes headed for the grid and Rutter surveyed the competition, he knew that he'd have to pull out something special against one of the most competitive fields ever assembled in the Far East. With the grid formed and the crowd on its feet in anticipation, the 40th running of this historical event was ready for another half hour of hair-raising wall-to-wall racing.
Off they go, 15 laps. Number 2, John McGuinness to the right of your picture. Rutter is going to lead them away. He wants a really good start if he can get it. The perfect plan for Rutter would be to break clear if he could, Kevin.
Absolutely, and he's going to try and do that right here on this first lap. Try and distance himself from the other guys in the field, but he's either had to put a new motor in or make some adjustments to the bike. He had a bit of a problem mechanically in warm-up, but I don't know what the exact fix was, so it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, that makes you a bit nervous. Ian Hutchinson, number 3, going up the inside of number 4, Stuart Easton, to take second place at Hotel Lisboa. And this is always a tricky moment. You're clocking on coming down that long straight, and it's down through the gearbox, hard on the brakes, but everybody touched wood safely through. Steve Plater in third spot. So Rutter leads from Hutchinson, from Steve Plater. Plater was second fastest in practice. Steve, one of the unluckiest riders in the sport. If things go well, he could be in with a podium place. Plater in front of Hutchinson now, and closing on Michael Rutter. Well, if Michael Rutter would have hoped for an easy ride, a relatively speaking easy thing, Hutchinson you can see being dropped off in third place. Plater having got by, he's on the charge. Great on-camera work round Melco hairpin. Just shows how tight that hairpin is. Flat on the tank they go. Michael Rutter being chased by Steve Plater. Steve Plater, bike number 88, number 1, the reigning Macau champion. And Michael Rutter has, oh dear, and Plater chose the moment to go round him. Well, was that a tactical mistake, or did Michael just want to see what he can do?
I don't know. You know, the way he sat up and looked...
Do you think he's got a problem?
I'm almost thinking he's got a problem. He's letting that gap get really big really quick.
Plater leading with the yellow leathers on the Yamaha. Tail ender in the way. The blue flag's being waved. Oh, and Plater was hard. Oh,
shut, and that has just closed that gap back up to nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And, oh dear. Well, and the tail ender just moves across. Oh! Well, that upset him, and it's upset Michael Rutter's race, hasn't it?
You know, it really has. I was thinking maybe that foot off the peg was a bit of a signal for Rutter to go outside, but I genuinely think that guy was not concerned, not looking at the waving blue flags, and not giving anybody any room.
And Rutter's not got past yet, has he? No, there he goes now, and Plater's disappeared. Now, who have we got here? We've got John McGuinness at the front of a 3-rider battle. Behind him, I think, is Leschand and Thomas Hinterreiter having a good old dust-up. 77 is Leschand. Les was third here last year.
Was he?
Yeah.
All three doing really consistent lap times.
The man in the way, number 60, that's Callum Ramsey. Oh, dear, 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 dear.
That's the problem with looking back. Once you see the flag, just hold your line. The guy will find his way around you.
Yep.
That's given Michael Rutter one last gasp, one opportunity to maybe, he's got another sniff of the 88. He can maybe close that gap up and make a run at the finish line. But I really feel like that Yamaha seems to be good in a straight line. It's going to be tough.
Closing. Michael Rutter is closing. Can Steve Plater keep it together? Can he win? Can he add his name to an illustrious roll of honor? Plater, he is going to win this one. Michael Rutter not close enough to mount a challenge in the remaining. Steve Plater looks over his shoulder, sees that Michael Rutter isn't clear. Well, so pleased for Steve Plater. He is a nice man. And he's had so much bad luck and injury over the year. Little wave back to Michael.
So an absolutely fantastic race for Steve Plater. This is his first win overall at Macau. What a time to do it. But for Rutter, the weekend just wasn't to be, with the field proving too strong as anticipated.
Obviously, you know, some good guys here this year, some very, very good guys. The top 6 are all very fast, including my teammate, you know, Guy Martin, so it was never going to be easy, and I got off the line really well, and Michael sort of slammed the door first corner. No big deal, just a racing move, but I just tried to I gave it a lap or two just to get used to a full tank of fuel, to be honest, because the thing was pushing into the corners quite hard, and then after we got a couple of laps away and Michael wasn't going away, then you can run but you can't hide.
In many ways, Plater needed the win more than Rutter. And now, coupled with the success earlier in the year at the Northwest in Ireland, he proved his street racing pedigree and opened new avenues for his racing future.
first couple of laps, we basically I got the lead, which was I thought it's a good start, dream start for me. I got messed up a few times, the back marker, and then we started putting some quick laps in, and like he was like really on it one lap, and he clipped the wall like real heavily at the wall, and all the paint come off over my visor and that, and off the wall, and I couldn't see, and it took me half a lap to get round before I could get my hand off to rip off another rip off so I could see again, because there's just all debris on my visor. And I thought, this is madness, this is. And so, to be fair to Steve, he was, he wanted the win. I don't think anyone would have stopped him. He rode well, but he rode, too hard for me.
Rutter would now have to wait another year to take the title of Macau's undisputed road king, but he remained philosophical.
Steve's a really good rider, I've been racing with him for years and years, and he can't win them all. Like, I've won 4 in a row, and everyone expects you to win. Like, if we finish second, it's not bad. The team's happy with it, but it's one of those things, and we'll come back here next year and hopefully have another go.
That was good, yeah. My always found him over yeah.
Watching from the sidelines, Ron Haslam had seemingly forgotten how close things can be at Macau, but he loved every wall-tapping moment and was delighted for Plater.
Plater rode really well, and he was really up for it. I'm pleased he was, and I'm pleased that it sounds silly now, but pleased the race was finished and they're all safe. No accidents, no nothing, and it was an exciting race. It was a real battle right to the end. I was hoping that he could beat Michael, and I'm pleased he has at this point.
With the 40th anniversary race now over, Macau and its famous piece of road turned back to the mundane process of carrying traffic from A to B. The drama of the annual visit, the Fast and Furious, was soon just a treasured memory. So how can this classic road race continue its meteoric growth and at the same time keep its hallowed status?
Things change, and you can't stop things changing, and Macau is changing more dramatically than virtually any other place in the world. It's good, it always has been good, and I hope it will perhaps get better.
I think most people feared that when the Portuguese handed back the territory, that there would be no reason for the Chinese to keep it going. They had a racetrack in Zhuhai. Why on earth would they want to run an event like this? There didn't seem any logical reason, but now the thing is bigger and bigger and bigger, and with the capacity for people to stay here now and these enormous casinos, you can seriously imagine that in 5-10 years' time they'll be getting 20,000-30,000 spectators coming to watch the race, and this is going to be the Las Vegas of the Far East.
The reason we continue, because not only the drivers, the local drivers, they are crazy about this, but we receive a lot of compliments from all the drivers around the world.
It's difficult to improve upon a classic meeting. It's difficult to change a format and make it any better than it already is.
As the teams pack for another year, one thing is for sure. Those that have been to Macau to either participate, organise, or simply even watch this racing spectacular have all been left with a lifelong impression.
If you ever come here and watch it, I think it just grabs hold of you, doesn't it? It sort of grabs the imagination.
I enjoyed the people, I liked the culture here, and it was just a good time all around.
I raced 9 times and look, never crashed and still fit, and I made very good friends, and for sure will be a good remember for the rest of my life.
I love Macau. I think it's one of my favourite cities in the world, even with all the changes.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's just a magic place.
It's just so well run. It just makes you want to come back.
As long as I'm up on my feet, I'm sure I'll come back to Macau for a long time.
I enjoy the place, and if I come back here and don't do it, I still come here and I still enjoy it. But it'd be nice to have another couple of wins at least.
40 years of racing around this classic street circuit has produced high drama, great rivalry, and unparalleled bravery. But perhaps more importantly, a fraternity of racing enthusiasts dedicated to continuing the tradition that has made this event so special to the racing world. In a time when sporting events come and go, the Macau Grand Prix has worked hard to grow with the times, maintain its safety record, and manage to cultivate a competitive race weekend with an enjoyable and friendly atmosphere. 40 years of passion for racing against the ultimate challenge have made the Macau Motorcycle Grand Prix the greatest street race in the world.